I can see the Throckmorton in you now. The color.
Well, see, I'm a Harvey.
Yeah, but
I'm married Denny Throckmorton.
now I know. It takes a little while for things to sink in my head, and we've got a little bit too much age.
Is that what's wrong with us?
That's exactly what's wrong with us.
Tommy and Tim. I saw Robin yesterday.
I told her. Tell them where you live.
I live in Saudi Arabia.
Oh, yes, I got your child. Okay, that's right. I knew that. I knew What's a pin in your eye?
Can we squat down in front?
We can look between somebody, make sure that they can see me, otherwise they can't see us.
I don't know how you're going to work it. It's already
I'm going to shoot that.
I came all this way to get my
Okay, here goes. We're going to give it a shot. See what happens.
Yeah. Good to see you. Yeah.
Were you ever riding her over?
Yeah.
Everybody ready? 1, 2, 3. Take it out.
I'd like to say something. And I was so scared that I said, oh no. And I meant no. And then after I thought about it a few minutes, I said, yeah, I'd like to say something. And then I got so emotional, I didn't say anything. I hope tonight that my performance will be more in keeping with the 1941 flag. I can't tell you the great feeling that Claire and I had when we got our letter from Madeline Foley indicating that this committee had been formed to claim this evening. It was a great thrill of that because we have regretted 25 years not having the opportunity to join you for the 25th anniversary. All this time, we've been thinking about when is going to be the next one. And so finally, here we are. And it's been a real wonderful occasion to talk to some of you, all of you. We haven't had the chance to do so, but maybe before the evening is over, we'll have an opportunity to at least say hi. But it's my privilege to welcome all of you to this occasion, something that I'm sure that we will remember in many years to come. The other thing that happened, we get so busy, and I'm sure that this is going to ring a big note with all of you. We get so busy in our careers and with our families that many times we don't have a real empathy for what's going on in and around us. But however, in most of my career, I've traveled a lot. And Claire, who most of you have met, or who know, who is also a graduate of Randolph Henry, I was smart in that respect, has raised 5 children. And she's done a tremendous job. And I've always felt very rewarded for that since I have traveled. But in my travels, one of the things that came to my mind more than I can ever tell you is our class. I would be involved sometimes in some of the most difficult tasks. And I would think about Randolph Henry in the class of 1941. And I would think of somebody in a smile, or somebody that had done something that was specifically great academically, or something that had been done in a sports way, or something that had been done in a more casual way. So I want you to know that over these years, that even though most of us haven't had an opportunity to visit, that the thought has certainly been there. Because I don't think that the class of 41 ever realized how good you really were. Because you set standards for Randolph Henry that will be lasting. And certainly standards that become more focused and more important to each of us as we grow older. One of the things that I did is I asked Madeline if Ann Jackson was going to be here. And I can't tell you how devastated I was when she said no, she wouldn't. So I want to read to you the names of our class who are deceased. And several moments to remember them. Sterling Beaver, Haley Berkeley, June Berkeley, Shirley Cotter, Cecil Elliott, Mary Elizabeth Goddard, James Graves, Reed Hawkins, Ann Jackson, Marion Johnson, Gracie Jones, Dawn Marshall, Ruth Nelson, Beryl Newcomb, Henry Nichols, Early Pearson, Susie Francis Roach, Howard Stembridge, and Ernest Hilder. So I would ask that we bow our heads for a few moments.
There's one a minute there, Reba Hudson.
Reba Hudson. So let's spend a few quiet moments in remembrance of those who are not with us. Amen. I would now ask John Nicholas to do the invocation.
I'm not a member of the class of 41. I'm a member of the class of 38 of another school in another part of the state. But being married to a girl who was a member of this class for 40 years and hearing about you all the time, I feel like I know you. The fact of the matter is, I can claim one other thing. I was at the 25th anniversary of the book. Let us bow our heads for a word of prayer. Our Father God, when it comes the time to remember, we think of you and how you remembered us. Gave us your Son as a token of your love and esteem for us. Now, Father, we pray now as we eat this food and still fellowship more tonight, that we'll be in fond remembrance of the way that you have loved us and has given yourself for us. Bless this food. Bless us to your service, we pray. In Jesus' name and for his sake. Amen.
A few other announcements, and then for those of us who are on this particular day, Clara and I have a very favorite place in Tustin, California, where we have dinner. And the occasion is her birthday. So I have a card. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Clara. Happy birthday to you.
Vernon, may I say a word? Sure. Betty Carson's birthday is today too. Oh,
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Betty. Happy birthday to you.
and also Ethan White. His birthday
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Ethan. Happy birthday to you. Okay, the other thing that I'd like to do is recognize Betty for her splendid job of putting together this reunion. Most of us who have been in our careers for all of these years know what it is to plan, know how difficult sometimes it is, and know that behind the scenes there's an awful lot of work that goes into something of this type. So the treasurer for the it's Francis Berkeley School. All of us know. Francis. Okay, the correspondence and promotion was taken care of by Madam Nicole. She and I have many times. Okay, the table decorations for Dr. Hall of Honor.
I can clean that. I have a lot of help.
Well, all of us do. The historian was Melvin Jeffrey.
Oh, well,
The name tags was Virginia Pugh Davis. The other thing that, as you know, our class colors are blue and white, but she is responsible for these beautiful rosebuds that we have on each table tonight.
And Virginia? Virginia, get up. Get you. Thank you.
Now, these years, which I understand a lot of time put into 1941 to 1991 by Stan.
fine dog always finds an egg. 2 days. She must have been. No, I don't think so. There was a bunch of them.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember
Let's get going. And since I didn't make the 25th reunion, I did get some feedback. And I understand that Stan told a story about old Shep, who was named superintendent. And I just broke out, well, see, I'm Shep. All he does is walk, right, Stan? A couple of things I'd like to mention to you. You've noticed this evening that we have professional people doing a film and also pictures. And the film is being done by Video Keepsakes. And the gentleman who you've seen here, his partner is Mr. Ben Vaughn here. Now, if you have any shots that you particularly want, he'd be more than delighted to accommodate your request. Mr. Vaughn has also requested that if you have any members that you would like to go on the film, that just check with him, they'd be delighted to do so. So at the end of this evening, there will be a table in the back for any of you who would like to film. Also, there will be a table for the pictures. If you have any shots that would be dear to you, Mr. Herschel Silent, who you've seen taking pictures, he will be back there with his wife. I assume Mr. Silent's your wife. Yeah, okay. And that's Country Studio. So all of these are professional people that are here to do a nice job for us and to give us something. We certainly are looking forward to taking pictures and film home to show to our children. At this time, what we'd like to do is to start with this table and have the graduates to express any memory that you wish to. But we would like to know something about what you've been doing, about your family. And Mom said give her a hand and make it sharp. So we'll start at this table, we'll go back to the front.
I'm Mel Jefferson and my wife Lorena. We have 2 children, 3 grandchildren. We've been living in Rutland together in Richmond since 1952. I've been retired for 5 years. She's a retired teacher from Chesterfield County. We enjoy life now and living a life that we never thought we'd live as far as retirees. Thank you.
You next. I'm Jim Hurt, better known as James with you all. This is my wife Julia. So we've been married since 1954. How many years is that? Anyway, we have 3 children, 2 grandchildren. Julia's, of course, this is like home to her, but she's from Irvington and Front Royal both. But she went to Longwood, so when she comes back to Charlotte, she thinks she's home. Live in Richmond and go to the same church. Go ahead.
I'm Elizabeth Parsons Grimm. I've lived in Newmarket for a while. I'm 54, and I've been there since 58. I have 4 children, 2 sons, 2 daughters, and 7 grandchildren. And I'm still working as a pharmacist 5 days a week. Oh, excuse me, this is my guest and my sister Claire. She's in the next class.
I'm Stan Vassar, and my bride here for 46 years is Merle, who was Merle Dawson. Lonnie Dickens, the only somebody tonight called her by her name. He said, Alma Merle? I said, how are you? And she dropped Alma years ago. We have 4 children, 5 grandchildren, 4 boys, and 1 girl that was born Monday night. Our first granddaughter was born Monday night. And we thoroughly enjoy our
family, and we enjoy life. We're both retired. I work harder than I did before I retired, but we're both retired.
A lot of people call me William, but I'm Billy Porter. I hate the name William. Now, this is my wife, Matthew. We have been married 45 years. We have 4 grandchildren and 3 children. I've been retired for every year for Burlington Industries. And she's a looking bottle washer. She's a worker. She works hard, with us fast, and don't give me any credit, give her. And you enjoy life, you like to travel a lot. And that's it.
Tell her political career, don't leave that out. Every one of them wants to vote for her. Don't leave her political career.
Who's running against me? I hope this 4 years is finally over.
I said she's the treasurer of the county.
Yeah.
Charlotte County, that is.
Charlotte.
I am Susan Bradley, and I have been married forever. Long time. We have 3 children, a daughter and 2 sons, and 5 grandchildren. I retired from banking, and he retired from Longwood, and we're enjoying it. And so good to be here.
I'm Spencer H. Lane, better known as Hatcher to you people of the class. Married my wife and 45 you people will figure out the number of years. And we've enjoyed life. I retired 8 years ago from Bell, Pennsylvania.
I'm Pauline Downey, and I don't have any children. This is my husband, Glenn, from 48 years. We live in Randolph. I think you'll be here tonight. Seeing all these people that have been there. I'm Mary Anderson. My husband is deceased. I have 1 son, 2 grandchildren, and I'm still
I'm James Hankins. I retired as a supervisor for 10 Rural Mills after 30 years. I have 2 boys, which are big men, and I have 2 lovely granddaughters. My wife wasn't able to come. She had a muscle deterioration problem, and she would love to come, but she couldn't make it. She said, "Tell you all that she wished she could have been here." Thank you.
I'm Margaret Gold, and my husband is deceased. I have 1 child and 3 grandchildren.
The tunes were hot, and my husband is deceased also. And I have 4 children, 2 grandchildren, and I retired as postmaster of Cullen, Virginia last year.
I'm David Cookville. I'm married to Peggy Tucker, 41 years ago. I have 1 son, 2 grandchildren. I'm retired. She's still what got there.
I'm Alvin Lane. This is my wife Edith, 49 years. We currently live in Midlothian, Virginia. I'm retired after 31 years with the state police, and she's also retired from the storekeeper's position. We have 2 children, a son and a daughter, and it certainly has been a great day. Thank you.
I'm Josephine Paul, and I have 2 children, 4 grandchildren, 2 great-grandchildren. And I retired from Bibb in January of this year, and my husband was killed overseas. Grants in World War II.
I'm Joyce Dodson, and this is my husband Gene. We have 4 sons, 11 grandchildren, and he and I settled in Waldorf, Maryland about 35 years ago. We opened up a jewelry store there, and that's where we're still located. I'm Nona Lee Elder, and I survived living with the same man 48 years. I have 3 children, 3 grandchildren. I'm Ann Johnson. I live in Saudi Arabia. I'm married to a man that can't retire as early as I did. So I worked very hard spending all the money he made. This is my husband, Lloyd. We've been married for 29 years. 2 children, 5 granddaughters.
I'm A.B. Hunter, died in Red House, Virginia. John Cannon, I was born and raised there, still in the same place as my wife Frances. We have 4 children, 3 daughters and 1 son, and I have 8 grandchildren. And I retired from USDA in 1982. She retired from the banking, so we are doing real well and having a good time.
I'm Audrey Cullen. We have 4 children and 10 grandchildren.
I'm Violet Brain Shelton. This is my husband, Dylan Shelton. We've been married 46 years and have 2 daughters and 2 grandsons. We've had a happy life together and we are retired. And we have thoroughly enjoyed being here tonight and seeing everyone. And I'd like to thank all of those on the committee for all the work they have done. I just think it's mighty wonderful for the things that little people have done to make this such a pleasant time. This is Dorothy Nichols, and she has a voice problem, but that's okay. She's here, and we're thankful for that. And this is Nick Nichols, her husband, and she has 1 daughter, married daughter, and she lives in Richmond, and 1 grandson, and we live in Richmond too. She lives in Lakeside, I believe.
I'm Clarence Bassler. I'm retired from my wife is not here, and I've got 2 sons, and I plan to apply for the Supreme Court.
We live in Matthews, Virginia. I have 2 sons and 5 grandchildren. And it's great being retired. I'm retired from Virginia Tech Extension Division after 26 years.
I'm Joe Shorter. This is my wife, Dave. We have 2 sons, 4 grandchildren. We're both retired. Sure. We've been married 45 years. We live in Farmville, North Carolina. We have enjoyed being here.
Naples St. John, Hilda. We live in Gloucester, Virginia. We have 1 son and 3 grandchildren. And we've been married almost 49 years. Been very happy. We enjoy traveling. And life is wonderful. Thanks.
I'm Frances Bailey Berkeley. This is my husband, Reed. We've been married 50 years, a long, long time, but it's been so short too. And I'm retired from the Bank of Charlotte County, and he's also retired. and we've enjoyed our time here together with everybody tonight.
I'm Ethan's wife, and this is my new bride, Margaret. We've been married 1 year, it's June. However, I have 2 daughters, and she has 1 son. That may be difficult to explain, but that's the way it is. Anyway, I retired from banking after 40 years, and Margaret and I are both realtors. We work when we feel like it. If we don't feel like it, we don't work. So that's a good program too. It certainly has been a pleasure to see you all here this evening. And a lot of people I didn't know, but in a few minutes it came back to my old tired brain who they are and so forth. I've enjoyed it so very much.
I'm Lloyd White, and this is my wife, Mary Marie. I picked her up in Victoria, Kansas about 45 years ago. I remember one of the things about Randolph Vineyard was making the form when our class built the flagpole and the base for it. And I built the form to pour the concrete in. Enjoyed being here tonight, and wish you all the best.
Catherine, better known as Catbird Adams Daly, and this is my husband, Phil. We have 4 children, 2 boys and 2 girls, and 3 grandsons. And we're both retired.
I'm Clifford Harvey, mathematics. My wife couldn't make it tonight, so I brought her tonight. I used to put a girl with me, Becky, my daughter. I have 4 children, 2 boys, 2 girls, 4 grandchildren, 2 boys and 2 girls. And I'm retired part-time from funeral service in Robinson Funeral Home in Appomattox. It's been mighty nice being here tonight. I've enjoyed it very much. I want to thank you very much.
I'm Kathy Fred, and I was married twice, first to Burton Owing, 3 children. My present husband has 1 son, who is a paraplegic, and he could be with us tonight. I retired from R.L. Publishing Company of City Director, and I've enjoyed being here tonight.
Irene Trent Adams. My husband is deceased. He and I were married 33 years, and I live in Richmond.
I'm Floyd Thompson. This is my wife, Edna. We've been married 43 years, no children. We're both from Northern Virginia, and both retired. It's good to be here tonight.
I'm Mabel Osborne. I'm married to Walter Hibbert. We've been married for 29 years. We have 2 daughters, and the youngest daughter is getting married next September. We're so happy. And I'm glad to be here.
I'm Jane Davis, and this is my husband, John, Elias Jack, and we have 4 daughters and 7 grandchildren, both retired and enjoying.
I'm Marie Pillar Foster. I live in Brookneal. My husband's been dead for 7 years. I have a son and a daughter. And when we were here 25 years ago, we had the youngest child. And I'm wondering if I have the youngest grandchildren. I have one 18 months and one 3, so I might have the youngest grandchildren.
You got one left for me.
I have a friend with me tonight, Lyle Lee. So it's good to be here, and I thank the committee also.
I think we skipped a couple back there. I'd like for them to get up, and then I'll have my little spiel.
I knew you'd do that.
I had to get even with you.
I'm Ruby Anderson. I'm a widow. I do not have any children. I'm one of those idiots that's still working because I love it.
Well, everything about me is uninteresting, but I've been a widow since 1980.
I have a daughter who teaches in a private school, one granddaughter who's in college this year, and a grandson who plays first-string football. Tell them I'm Betty first.
Well, I'm Betty Kaiser Ward. Been married to this gentleman here, Tar Heel, better known, his nickname is Tar Heel, better known as WD. We have 4 children, 2 girls, 2 boys, 4 grandsons, 2 granddaughters, 5 grandsons and 2 granddaughters. We live in Buena Vista, Virginia, and we have been there since '67. Both of us are retired school teachers, and I would like to say he is vice mayor of the city.
I'm Mildred Gillum Freedy. My husband is deceased. We have both been married before, so we have 5 children between us. I have 15 grandchildren and 7 great-grandchildren. I'm retired and living in the retirement community in Newport News. It's good to be here.
You just met my sister. I'm Dick Gillum, and I've been married 42 years, and I have 3 children and 2 grandchildren. And one of my fondest memories of Randolph Henry was playing basketball with all these nice people here, like Billy Bolix, Edwin, Stan, And I just want to congratulate the people that put this on tonight. It was a real pleasure. Thank you.
I'm Shirley Twine, live in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and my husband died this past December, and I have 2 children, and I have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
I'm Dorothy Tinsley, and this is my husband George. We've been married for 40 years, and we have 1 daughter, and we're both retired, and we're just enjoying life.
I'm Mamie Bailey Pugh. I married Dorothy and Shirley's brother. We've been married 48 years, and it's been a wonderful marriage. We have 2 sons and 1 daughter and 7 grandchildren, and they are my greatest pleasure, my family.
I'm Lonnie Dickens, and somewhere or another I feel a little bit out of place because I got shipwrecked on the sea of matrimony. I've been married off and on for 43 years. I have 3 children, 2 boys, and a daughter, and 1 grandson, and this is my child bride. I've been married for 22 years. I'm a retired dentist, and she's retired from Condell, and she's still working. I'm having a good day.
That's right. I'm LaVale Wagner, LaVale Probst Wagner, and I have 2 children, a daughter and a son, 3 grandchildren, and I'm now married to Charles Wagner, an excellent husband and stepfather, my children.
Who did I say I was? I'm Miss Dorothy Hall of Wildsburg. Yeah, when we finished high school, Randolph, him and Daddy cried Miss Boston and got me a job. I got married in September after June. We were married 18 years and we had 3 wonderful children, and I still have them, but Peter's my second husband. We've been married 28 years. I'm 98. Started us off bad when we had a big country girls home with curl our hair on rags and get pretty and all that. But the older I get, the more I appreciate it being a country girl from Wildsburg.
I'm Mary Spain. That's Madisonville, Mary. I got a better name when I went to Randolph Henry. It's Marie. And this is my husband, Oscar Johnson. This is my first husband in this life. And we've been married 50 years. And if anybody can top my marriage, I bet you I've been married longer than any of you. Francis Bailey, I heard you say 50 years. But I'll have to tell you, I got married 2 days after I graduated from high school. Now, did you beat that? You did 1 month after. And let me see, something else I want to tell you. We went up to the school, and that was the most fun. Those of you who didn't go up to the school just cheated yourself. When I walked in, some of them said, "That's Marie Spain." I know right off. I know by her voice. Now, wasn't that embarrassing? And I've had 3 good compliments in my lifetime. We are having equal time. That's the reason I'm last. But what my best compliment was, a man told my husband, he says, "You know what? I like your wife. I like her because I can hear her." He said, "I've never heard the water run in the sink. I've never heard the telephone ring. I've never heard the airplane or the train, but I can hear you." Amen. And then my second best compliment, you remember this. A lady came over and she said, "I saw your sweet Marie the other day," and she didn't even speak to me. So my friend says, "Well, now listen, if Marie didn't speak to you, it was because she didn't see you. Because Marie is just as common as you can be." And our son topped them all off. Topped them all off. A person called me that I'd never met. And she said our son had stopped by on the way home from the junior-senior play. And she was getting the Coke or whatever. And she said she heard them talking where they had gathered in the room. And she said she heard our son say, "You know what? Our parents don't believe in nothing." That's senior English for you. They don't believe in nothing. They don't believe in drinking. They don't believe in smoking or dancing. They don't believe in nothing. They don't believe in sniffing glue. They don't believe in smoking pot or shooting cocaine. She said, "I thought that was the nicest compliment I had ever heard." But while we were at the school, somebody said to me, who was it? I don't know. Oscar said he's going to show me to you when we got down here. They said, "We remember you. When you were here before, you said that you'd been married 25 years and that you said we had rather fight than switch." And you know, that advertisement had just come out. And I had waited all these years thinking, oh, I should apologize to these people and tell them we don't fight. I don't even smoke. But he either. But that was, who was that? Philip Morris did that? Oh, said we'd rather fight. And Lindell Pitt was here. And I kept up with Lindell over the years, and my mother did too. She was my chemistry teacher, and she lived in Richmond. And she told everybody she knew that I had said that. And I've always felt like I should apologize to everybody I see and tell them, you know, that we don't fight. But that was the new advertisement at that time. And let me see, what else somebody else told me to do. Oscar and I have accomplished so many things. We truly have. And we've been great church workers. But anyway, I'm going to leave out a whole lot of things. But I want to tell you one thing I did in life that I had always wanted to do. And that was, after reading Robert Louis Stevenson in the 2nd grade, I always secretly wanted to put my name in a bottle and put it out to sea. Well, down in Hatteras, which is the roughest waters in the world, Hatteras, North Carolina, I put my name in a bottle and I put it out to sea, and I forgot all about it. I mean, time after time after time went by. And one night, Oscar and I came in from some exotic place like Farmville. And I walked through the house, half asleep, half dead. And he said, "Marie," he went through the mail. So he said, you got a letter from some foreign country or something. And I came back, I thought, well, one of the missionary friends I'll probably write to. And I opened it up, and it said, Dear Marie. Well, I thought we on first name basis. Must be somebody I know. She said, I found your Bible, and it was Lima, Peru. And she says, went on saying, I hope to come to the United States in a few years and all this stuff. So I wrote to Williamsburg, the college down there, and asked how could my Bible get there. So they gave me 3 different routes that it could have reached Lima, Peru. And so I guess that's one of the greatest things I did, to accomplish a lot of other things. But I know when my children were right there, Dearest Mommy book, what was it? Joan Crawford's kid wrote, what, Dearest Mommy? They are going to write about me coming to this, because they'll hear plenty about it. And yeah, this one. And let me see, what else was I going to tell you? Equal time. Oh, I had 2 jokes that I wanted to tell. I just think they're so good. 2 ladies met after years and years. And one lady says, you know, I didn't recognize you. You've gotten so fat. And the other lady said, you know, I wouldn't have recognized you either, but I recognized your coat. And my other joke I like, for a long time no see, is the man and his wife that met each other after having divorced, and they hadn't seen each other for years. And he said to her, well, Mary, how are you? Well, you know, fine. She said, John, how are you? Fine. And where are you living? She said, Detroit. And where are you living? Atlanta. And then finally he says, well, how about the children? How are the children? She says, you don't have them? I'll have to tell you this about Ruth. Now, Oscar met me when I was 13. And I had laryngitis. We were just talking about it. And don't you know what? I couldn't talk. And I was the softest spoken person. Oh, I had the softest little voice. And when this voice came back, he was really into it. Surprise, surprise. But what I was going to tell about Ruby, when we were juniors in high school, this fella, this nice-looking man came around and did something for our rings, right? Remember that? Some salesman? Well, I don't know why, but he was very nice to me. And so he said to me, what is your name other than this initial? And I said, well, my name is Spain. He said, put Spain down there. I'll put your name inside your ring as well. One, but see, just a couple of more initial letters. So I reached over to Ruby, and I said to Ruby, he told me if I put my name down, he'd put that down. He'd put that in my ring, Spain. So I said, put the same thing down, you know, sisters. So when all of you got your rings, Ruby and I didn't get a ring. And honest, she fussed at me all day. I dodged her. I went up one corner and she down the other. And you don't remember this? I'll never forget it. And she said, if you hadn't been flirting with that man, something has happened to our ring. That ring meant more to her than anything. Well, me too. So, late day, Mr. Williams came on the loudspeaker system, and he said, would Ruby and Marie Spain please report to the office? Oh, that was the longest mile I had ever walked. Ruby and I were in was it Collins? Collins, Irma Collins, either English or history, literature or something. all the way down to that office. She fussing all the way. And when we got down there, Mr. Williams said, I don't know why, but your 2 rings came in a separate pack addressed to you. So we just said, oh. So we took the rings. How many have your class ring now? I do too. Oh, you got it on? I have mine on a gold ring, but I could have worn my gold, charm bracelet. But anything else I'm supposed to tell? He makes that
No, I'm going to twist it now to a different scene. I want to make it serious. One of the things that I remember most about Charlotte County and Randolph Henry has to do with our superintendent. I happen to be a school teacher and had good privilege of teaching in more than one state. Therefore, I had connections with more than one school district. And I want you to know, it took a lifetime probably to realize this, but I have a great appreciation for our superintendent. And I want to give you 3 little small incidences some of you might know about that I think are the reasons for my feeling so keenly about him. Mr. Bobbitt had made the effort to visit in the homes of his students. Did any of you know that? Did he visit in other homes? Raise your hand if you had him visit. Isn't that interesting? He visited in Madisonville, and I remember him going to visit in the various homes. I thought that was nice, but I didn't have any idea of what his motive was until I became an adult. And the second thing I remember greatly about him was being in our classroom one time. And he listened to someone speaking and said, went to the blackboard with a chalk in his hand and said, how do you pronounce this word? And he wrote on the board, W-A-S. And most of us made a great deal of fun about that later. But he said, I'm hearing you say W-U-Z. All you school teachers in the group will appreciate this because of our colloquialism. It's coming out that way. And he said, I can't tell you how to say W-A-S. Alvin, Hatcher, can you remember this? Marie, can you remember it? I don't know who else. Francis, can you remember this? He said, I can't tell you how to say it because if you look in the dictionary, it's hard to pronounce it. It isn't that, the phonetic spelling is not that easy. But he said, surely I don't want to hear you say W-U-Z. I've thought of that a whole lot in my years, and I thought what a caring man he was. 2 good evidences there. He cared how we spoke. I talked to some superintendents, and never did I hear one of them get that close to their students. Never did I hear one of them tell a kid a good thing that would be uplifting. Who knows? Maybe my beginning in English was right there in that little spot. Now I want to tell you the third thing that impressed me about him. When we had our 25th anniversary homecoming reunion, were you impressed by the fact that he could say a prayer? I was. And I think about the teachers and the superintendents I've known and you've known, and not all of them are altogether able to recognize a creator God. And I appreciated that in my experience of growing up in that kind of community.
I'm Bernie Smith. Claire and I have been married for 43 years. I work for FISA, and I retired in my 40th year. They kept me on a retainer, so I'm still working. We have 5 children, 2 boys and 3 daughters. We have 7 grandchildren, 6 boys and 1 girl. Our youngest daughter is expecting, and we hope she'll be right there.
Heartbeat 160.
Yeah, we've been keeping the heartbeat. I've already mentioned Clara, but she's a graduate of Randolph Henry, and I've mentioned to you also before that was one of the smartest decisions I've ever made. Now, I would like to just mention to you, aside from personal things, that none of our faculty could be with us. And as I understand it, Miss Irma Colley is the only one who is living?
No, there are others living. Lab Henry, Lab Glenn Henry, and Mark Pugh. And Miss Irma Colley is living, but I don't know the whereabouts. I think somewhere in somewhere near Jonesville.
Anyway, none of their faculty could be with us. And to a certain extent, Ruby has stolen the thunder.
Oh, do it. Your version might be better.
No, it's pretty much the same. We have lived in a number of places, moved a lot. We lived in Philadelphia twice, in Virginia twice. This is since getting out of the service and going to college and then pursuing a career. We lived in Chicago, we lived in New Jersey, we lived in Palo Alto, California. Now we live and have lived for the last 10 years. 17 years? You know, when you enjoy what you're doing, you lose track, right? In Villa Park, California, and most people recognize that because it's 7 miles east of Disneyland. And so all of our family are married, and so we have 4 vacant bedrooms. Anyone who comes to California, we would be very disappointed if you didn't visit us and spend some time with us. On the faculty, I have many, many times reflected on our faculty that we had at Randolph Henry, because I have never seen a dedication anywhere that we have lived, in high school, in grade school, the likes of Mr. Williams, Miss Irma Colley, Miss Maud Donovan, Mrs. Maud Donovan, Mrs. Kirk, Mr. Glenn, Elna Berger, Mrs. Purdy, right. Miss Kuntz. All of the names which don't come to me, but the fact is that I have appreciated so much over the years the dedication of our teachers. These folks were really dedicated. They were wonderful leaders, and they sent us out into either extended education or into a career, and even into World War II. Mature and able to handle a lot of things that I saw, and I'm sure that you experienced, people couldn't handle. And in conjunction with Ruby here, in the service, I was with people that could not write, could not read. And I wrote letters home. I spent a lot of time writing letters home to their parents or to their wives. And so this all gets back to the fact that I'm very disappointed that we couldn't tell them how much we appreciate the preparedness and the dedication and the commitment that they showed us while we were in high school concerning our senior year. Now, I understand that Melvin and Stan have spent a lot of time, and Melvin is going to review the statistics for us. Following him, excuse me.
We don't care.
Oh, I'm sorry, no.
That's okay.
Absolutely not. Let's go.
Yes. I'm Estelle Vaya Williams, and I had 2 children. My daughter has expired. My husband expired in February. But he was a retired Marine officer, and I traveled a lot with him and thoroughly enjoyed the years. I met a lot of dignitaries and important people, and I've recently just gotten back from a trip from the northern states, which I thoroughly love, and it's just been a pleasure to meet you all tonight.
Dorothy Roach Harrison. This is my husband, Gone and Harrison. We have 1 daughter, Betsy, and we have 2 grandchildren.
and our granddaughter teaches in Appomattox County, and our grandson is 14 years old, and we've enjoyed tonight.
I don't know that I have anything to say, but I'm Virginia Pugh. I've been married twice. Both of my husbands are deceased. I have 2 stepdaughters, 2 daughters of my very own, and 1 precious little granddaughter.
I have a precious little granddaughter too, I forgot to tell you.
Okay. Ladies, I really apologize. But I always did know, and this just proved the fact tonight, that we had the prettiest ladies of any senior class in Randolph Henry Parish. Now, Melvin is going to review the statistics for us, and following him, Stan is going to do these years, 1941 to 1990.
Thank you, Vern.
You know, when Ruby called me about reviewing the data that she received from you folks, wanting me to put together statistical data for you, I was kind of questioning how I should do this and so forth. And before I do that, I want to reminisce just a little bit about what you said about Mr. Bobby. He came to our home back before Randolph Henry School was built, and he visited the homes to put this together. We would have got the first consolidated high school in the state of Virginia in Randolph Henry. Another thing that personally for me, when I went in service, I wanted to get into Air Cadet Corps and try to get my wings. And I was in outside of Fort Worth, Texas, Mineral Wells, and I had the chance to get into Air Cadets, but I needed to get my high school grades. I needed 5 letters of recommendation and all this to go into it. I got my oldest brother to go to Charlotte Kodak. And I think Dr. Cobbett is the one that put this together for him and got it to me within a short period of time, and I went into the Air Cadets, and this is just his kind of help. You have given a lot of statistics here tonight in your reports of what you're doing and so forth. But ours was the second class, the Randolph Henry. We had 128, so far as I can determine, 128 classmates that graduated in 41. Out of the 128, we had 81 people that responded to the questionnaire. I assume we have 61 of them here tonight.
One since then, too late to get to me.
Okay. But we have at least 61 here tonight, or we're planning to come here tonight. We had 47 people with no information from, of which you know 19 were deceased. Running through this from a standpoint of children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren, out of the 81 people that responded, we have 179 children. Which is 2 or more per classroom. We have 247 grandchildren, which is 3 or more. We have 17 great-grandchildren out of our group. Now, there's Lucille Duffy, Mr. Palmer now. Is she here? Who? Lucille Duffy, Palmer. She didn't come? Oh my goodness. She has 6 children. She has the most children. I don't think anyone else has more than 6 children. Do we? Speak up. If you have, speak up. All right. Joyce Dodson Tally. Stand up. 11 grandchildren. 11 grandchildren. Brianne Phillip Brown, where is she?
Margie, I'm sorry, Margie. 10 grandchildren, right?
That's right.
Gilbert Lee Gillum, Purdy, I saw right there. Stand up now. Even though all these are not directly your bloodline, but you have taken care of 15 grandchildren and 7 great-grandchildren. You know, we didn't have many people in our class that married classmates. We got 2 over here tonight. Stan and Merle, stand up. These are classmates. And they're still together, by God. All right, I'm Thelma and Thorne Marshall. They were married classmates. For some reason, I don't know why Thelma's not here. Thorne. Her heart problem. Thorne passed away a few years ago. One of the 6. Now, the furthest distance from you, they came here. Frances Ann Johnson, McGinnis, stand up. Frances, she's from Saudi Arabia.
Oh, my God.
Your husband's with you? Yes, he is. Okay. Y'all are living in Saudi Arabia now?
10 years.
10 years. And I've got a letter here I want to review in a few minutes, but I'm fine. I'll talk about that in a little bit. This guy right here comes from Villa Park, California. First time he's been with us in 50 years. How about that? Now, let's get to 1 or 2 other things here. Normally, Elder, you know you wrote down a notable fact in your questionnaire, right? Stand up, Normally. You know what Normally's notable fact was? Said she'd been married to, she said, surviving being married to the same man for the past 48 years. That's a notable fact, okay? Another question we asked was your final career. Clarence, Pastor, stand up. Clarence said in his questionnaire, I haven't decided. He decided tonight he's going to run for the Supreme Court. Joke I heard not long ago about 2 of these guys that were retired, living out in Sun City, Phoenix, somewhere like that. They were sitting in the park bench playing checkers. And that's back when they were doing a little streaking along, you know, that everything was popular at that time, the streak in the football stand station. These men were playing checkers. These 2 women walked on by, you know, looked at the men didn't pay attention to them. 2 widows, and they said, how in the world we're going to get the attention of these 2 guys? One of them said, why don't we just strip down to our birthday suit and streak right on by. So they did. They went right on by these 2 men sitting there down. They looked over. One said to the other, said, what kind of clothes have they got on? the other man said, I don't know, but it sure need iron.
This is a little nostalgia. Sways a little bit to the woman's idea, but you have to follow us in it. All right. It's sad that there are 3 ages of woman: youth, middle age, and I haven't changed. But change is the name of the game. Consider. We were before frozen foods, penicillin, polio shots, radar, credit cards, and ballpoint pens. For us, time sharing meant togetherness. A chip was a piece of wood or a poker piece. Hardware meant bolts and screws, and software wasn't even a word. We were before pantyhose and drip-dry clothes, before ice makers and automatic dishwashers, clothes dryers, and electric blankets. We got married first, and then lived together. How quaint can you be? We wore Peter Pan collars, and the thought of the deep cleavage was something that butchers did. We were before the white wine craze, disposable diapers, and the Jefferson nickel. When we were in college, pizzas, Cheerios, frozen orange juice, and instant coffee were unheard of. We thought fast food was what you ate during Lent. In our day, cigarette smoking was fashionable. Grass was mowed, Coke was something you drank, and pot was something you cooked in. We were before daycare centers, house husbands, babysitters, and computer dating. And the term making out referred to how you did on an exam. There were 5 and 10 cent stores where you really could buy something for 5 cents. For just 1 nickel, you could ride the subway, the ferry, or make a phone call, or buy a Coke, or even enough stamps to mail a letter and 2 postal cards. You could buy a brand new Chevy Coupe for $659, but who could afford that? In 1941, nobody. That was a pity too, for gasoline was selling for 11 cents a gallon. We were not before the difference between the sexes was discovered, but we were before the sex change. We just had to make do with what we had. And we were the last generation that was so dumb as to think you needed a husband to have a baby. Now consider what we had in 1941 that college students today do not have. We had house mothers and big sisters. We had daily chapel and required courses in Bible, speech, and English composition. We had hats and white gloves, maids and white tablecloths, linen napkins and candles, gone long ago. We also had girdles with garters on them, and petticoats and serge bloomers for Jim. We mailed our laundry home in cardboard containers, and it came back with a batch of homemade cookies. We had fountain pens and bottles of real ink. We had stockings made of real silk, whose seams in the back were never straight. Unlike the remote control dances of today, we knew how it felt to have your partner hold you close and double dip. We had Toscasini and Edward VIII, and saddle shoes, and cars with rumble seats. And when Ray Noble played the very thought of you on his piano, we melted. In the springtime of my senility, I am missing it. I don't go yet for the consciousness raising or sensitivity training. I don't like to jog. I don't like pasta sauce. I don't know how to pump my gas. I'm not into veggies or yoga or Zen or punk. My idea of a good time is to walk with a man, not jog with a walk. I seek silence in a day when silence is as rare as a Gutenberg Bible. The man I live with is my husband, and he's still the same one. How embarrassing.
And when Ruby called me and told me that she wanted me to come up and talk to you about the last 50 years, I told her, I said, Ruby, let me know what you have in mind that you want me to talk about. I got a 2-page letter back from her, and what she really said was 10 minutes. Cover 50 years in 10 minutes. I told her, well, I never had been accused of being fast, and I sure won't speed in. If you're going to cover 50 years in 10 minutes, you got to be speeding. The more I thought about it, it reminded me of the state trooper down home that was investigating this accident. and there was a man and his wife in the front seat hurt, children in the back seat hurt, and a monkey sitting up on the back seat going, ee. And the trooper looked all around and said, I can't figure out what's going on here. Said, monkey, said, can you help me? He said, well, monkey said, what was the man doing? Said, oh, the man was drinking. So, well, what was his wife doing? Said she was giving him milk for drinking. So, what were the children doing? He said, the children were fighting. So a monkey said, what were you doing? Said, And then the more I thought about what I was going to say, I decided to write it down and I decided to memorize it. And about the time I thought I got it all memorized, I thought about the preacher that was preaching his first sermon. And he decided that he'd memorize it. And when he got up in the pulpit and he went through the opening exercises, his mind went blank. And all he could think about was he had decided to talk on Behold I Come. So he said, this morning, my topic is Behold I Come. And he leaned forward on the pulpit a little bit, and his mind was still blank. And he said, Behold I Come. And his mind still stayed blank. And he said, Behold I come. And the pulpit broke loose. He flipped head over heels and just laid his lap right on the front row. He jumped up and said, lady, please forgive me, please forgive me. She said, oh, hell, Parson, don't worry about it, all the moves. You told me 3 times this time. I won't say people told about all the places they've been to and all of the places to live, and Vern talked about. Now I won't tell y'all something. I lived in Scuffletown, Walmart Service Station, Phoenix, Sharpwood, and you know, ain't many folks can say that they lived in that kind of I forgot Germantown, so Red House, Cub Creek, and you know, when Rube and Melvin were talking about Bob going up to Madisonville, well, when you come to Madisonville, I can understand. Rube asked me to review with you some of the things that's happened in the last 50 years. Let me get serious for just a few minutes and tell you some of the things that we thought about, and suggest a few things I thought of some others. But you know, when we think about it, 50 years is a long time. It's a long time. And Vern, I'd like to say for you to ask you to appoint a committee tonight to plan a reunion, and I don't think we'll have to wait 25 more years. I think 5 more years would be great. Right. But the first big thing that happened after we left Randolph was World War II was declared. And have you ever thought about the fact that in the last 50 years we've never lived in a time and where there was complete peace in the world? Think about it, this great country in which we live
this great country in which we live. In our lifetime, in the last 50 years, we've been involved in wars and conflicts 7 times. 7 times. Some of us were in service. Some of us have children that were in service. Some of us lost loved ones in service. But in this great land in which we live, we've had 7 conflicts that we've been involved in. And it's sad when you think of the progress that man has made that we can't live together in peace. Now I'm through preaching, now I'm going to tell you about some of the things. First of all, I want to talk about the things in science and communication. If I can read my writing, somebody talked about, Byrne talked about it, write to some of those boys that was in service couldn't read. And Byrne, I finished college and I still can't write. But be that as it may, I'll have to tell this, I used to write home when I was in service. And Ed would write home when he was in service. And my mother, Ed writes a beautiful hand, and I just scratch. My mother would have to read Ed's letters to Ed, and Ed would have to read my letters to my mother. He could read my scratches, and she couldn't. But first of all, let's talk about this generation that has been in for 50 years. I have no way of proving this, but there have been more advances in science and in communication in yours and my lifetime than any other time in the history of civilization. Think about it. You know, I think about when I was a boy, we didn't have electricity at home. How many in here went almost through high school before you got electricity? But something we take for granted today. Something we take for granted. But look at all of the things that have come about because man learned to use electricity. You know, one of the first things when we talk about communication, I want to talk about the telephone a little bit. Now this is a form of current. You people with telephone companies, if I'm wrong, you can correct me after I get through. Don't bother me now. But look at the telephone. You can pick up a telephone and call anywhere in the world that you want to. Now, a whole lot of times you're going to get a recording that directs you to somebody else or directs you to another number. We have the fax machines now through the telephone. I think you can sit down and write a letter and put it on the fax machine and send it to anybody, anywhere, and they get it in 2 to 3 hours if they have a fax machine. We got a 911 number now that we call for emergencies. You see it advertised on the television, and they talk about these old people that fall. Now that doesn't bother our age group, you know. We're not in that age group. But think about the greatness of it. If someone at home can pick up a phone and dial 911, and they don't have to give the name, they don't have to give the address, they don't have to do anything, because that number is recorded. The residence address, the people that live there, this is recorded. Then, you know, I asked the science teacher the other day where I said, what is the greatest thing that you think that has come about in the last 50 years? And she said, computers. Computers. And you think about all of the things that are now controlled by computers. And when we came along, we never heard of such things.
We hadn't hardly heard of the calculator. Now we have the computer. I heard a talk by a general just about 3 weeks ago. And he talked about all the missiles that we used in Desert Storm. All of the pinpoint bombing that we did. And all of this was controlled by the fact that everything had been computerized. And I also read the other day where, and I'm glad this didn't happen years ago, where a bank down in North Carolina was paying about 15 different companies payroll, and a computer messed up. And none of those people got paid. And it involved quite a few $1 million. And they said the computer messed up, but I got news for them. The computer didn't make the mistake. Human beings made the mistake. And a computer can only do what the human being puts into it. And I'm going to tell you something. There's some smart cats over here that operate the computer. Let's talk about a few of the other things. TV. You know, I'll tell you this story. Years ago, a bunch of men from our neighborhood were sitting at the house, and they were listening to a baseball game, a fight, I forgotten which. And Grandpa Bassett was sitting in the room, and he said, one of these days, y'all going to be sitting here looking at ball games and watching fights. And this was in the late 20s, early 30s, late 20s, early 30s. And Daddy said, Papa, he said, don't talk that fool's man. I'll tell you one last story, number 3. 3 of our classmates were sitting out front tonight. And 3 pretty little girls came walking up. These were 3 men classmates. And one of them said to the other 2, said, that pretty little blonde. And just went by, said, I certainly would like to hug her. And then this little brunette came walking by. And the second one said to the other 2, I certainly would like to kiss her. And then this gorgeous redhead came by. And they all turned and looked at each other. And one of them finally said, what's that other thing we used to do?
Yes.
And I think it's so good when my team gets together. She's great. She's so nice.
Tell me, whoop,
Sorry.
that nice. Now, who are these? I don't know.
That's going to be real good.
Get that thing.
I thought Woody was let's have another speech.
Not tonight. I'll save it for the 5th.